Hello, this is Mr. Kusaj with lesson 4.5. I cut out a few things from 4.5, so it's going to be short and it's going to be the only one, so it doesn't say part 1. After this, I think we'll move on to not 4.6 but 4.7 and then wrap it up and hopefully do the review and the test before winter break. Okay, so maybe you want to freeze here and copy this before I start talking about it. Now, if you remember, when we did tangent, it was y over x. So the tangent of these main angles, 0, pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. Right? The main angles was y over x. So it was either 1 over 0 or 0 over 1, right? And this is where some of our answers were undefined. So 0 over 1 is 0, 1 over 0 is undefined, etc. So what does the graph look like? Right? So at 0, we start at 0. But when we get to pi over 2, we have to go to undefined. What does that mean? Infinity? How do we graph that? Well, we kind of know how to graph that, right? It goes on forever like an asymptote. It never gets to it. So it never gets to pi over 2. It just gets closer and closer. And another important thing to remember is that even though it's not included here, the tangent of pi over 4, the between angle, the 45, comes out to 1. Okay? So let's look at the graph of the tangent function. We looked at sine, we looked at cosine, now we want to look at the tangent. Okay, so what I did was set it up with a few fixed mistakes. Okay, so go ahead and copy it. Notice that instead of just little markings here, I put vertical lines, and you'll see why in a second. So if we know that tangent of 0 is 0, we know we're going to start here. But then if you look at the next one, tangent of pi over 2, that's this, is infinity. So we're going to start here and then go towards pi over 2, but we never get to a number. We don't go to like 1 or to 2 or to 3 or to 4 or to 5 or to 6. We go to infinity. So it's going to look like this. Just like that. Okay? You have to remember that, and I wrote it down here, that pi over 4, the between one, is 1. So you have to go through this point right here. The between angle will have to go through here. So here is the tangent graph, right? It never gets to pi over 2 because the value of tangent pi over 2 is undefined, okay? And then the between angle, if we keep going, is 1 but negative, so it's going to be here, right? And then pi is 0. So you can see it's coming this way. What about pi over 2? That's infinity, right? It's infinity. So this goes like that. So think of it like it's going around the world. It's going up, 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 around the world, coming down from the bottom. Let me push it up a little bit. From the bottom, and then at pi, we're back at 0. And that's a very important thing to remember. The period, the time that it starts repeating, is pi. If you remember with sine and cosine, the repeating started after 2 pi. So the period for sine cosine is 2 pi, the period for tangent is pi. So I'm done. That's one cycle. I'll keep going. So now I'm going to repeat this, right? So it's going to look like that. Now I'm going to repeat this. So it's going to look like that. Right? Now I left this over here because it continues to the left and to the right. Right? So if you wanted to, you could go this way. Right? That's it. It looks a little weird, and that is because of that 1 over 0 value, that undefined value. That's why we have this going off forever, up, 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 and down, 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 because of those values there. So looking at the graph, what is tangent of pi over 2? Undefined or infinite. What is the tangent of 3 pi over 2? Again, undefined, which is what we expected, right? Negative 1 over 0. That's the graph of it. It doesn't exist. Okay, so what would the flip of it be? Okay, before we get to the negative tangent x, notice that amplitude really doesn't apply here. Okay? The only thing we know for sure is that right between the angles we have 1. Okay? 1. But other than that, you're kind of like, if you're doing it by hand, you're kind of guessing. You just know that it goes up and up and up. So at here, right here it's 0, right here it's 1, undefined. Negative 1, 0, 1, undefined. Right? Undefined, negative 1, 0, and so on and so on, and so it repeats. For negative tan x, it's exactly what you think. It's flipped over. So this first one, instead of going up like that, it would go down like that. Imagine a mirror. Imagine a mirror. So in the mirror, right, it would flip over. Right? So that space is a little too wide. I was in a hurry. So here's my asymptote, right? The line that it's going to approach but never touch. Here too. Here too. So it's going to be, and it's got to go through here, negative 1, right? So something like this. Right? And then it's got to go through here. So something like this. Like, it's just, if you're not sure where it's going, just make believe it's a mirror right here. So now we're doing this one. We're doing this one, so it's going to come down from here, or you can start backwards like this, right? Come down from here, and that's it. That's 1 period. Now I'm going to start repeating, right? Which is this way, and this way, right? And you can go on forever. So that's y equals negative tan x. Okay? And of course you can go, keep going this direction too. So what would putting a number here in the amplitude position do to it? So you can try graphing this, but it's essentially the same graph, except it would go to 2, right? So instead of, not this one, right? Positive 2. Instead of just going up to 1, it would go up to 2 and then forever up, right? Because the middle angle is 1, right? The middle angle of tan x is 1, and there's a 2 here, so 2 times 1 is 2. So it wouldn't just go up to 1, it'd go up to 2. So this little point in the middle, right in the middle, would be 2 and negative 2, right? 2 and negative 2. But this part here, this part that goes on into infinity, all the way up at the asymptote, that's forever. That's the same. That's the same exact thing. So go ahead and try to graph this by yourselves and see what you get. Okay? All right. That's it. Under 10 minutes. 9:50. 9:52. No, it's 9:53. No, 9:54. All right. See you tomorrow. Bye.